Georgetown, Guyana's capital city, is sinking. Built below sea level on reclaimed land, it faces catastrophic flooding as oceans rise. But instead of spending billions on concrete walls, the nation turned to an ancient solution that costs 99% less and actually works. This isn't just another climate story. This is about a developing nation outsmarting wealthier countries by working with nature instead of against it. While cities like Miami and Jakarta pour billions into seawalls that will eventually fail, Guyana discovered that mangrove forests can do something engineers never could: build land while defending it. The question isn't whether this works, it's whether the world will pay attention before it's too late. Georgetown sits 0.5 to 1 meter below sea level at high tide. The city exists because of an extensive network of seawalls, drainage canals, and 44 pump stations. Infrastructure originally built by Dutch colonizers in the 18th century, this system was designed for a stable climate. We no longer have a stable climate. Sea levels along Guyana's coast are rising at 3.4 millimeters per year, faster than the global average of 3.2 millimeters. That sounds insignificant until you understand the compound effect. A 10-centimeter rise doesn't just mean water 10 centimeters higher. It means storm surges push further inland, high tides overtop barriers more frequently, and drainage systems can't discharge water because the ocean is literally too high. Georgetown's 200-year-old seawall network is failing. Concrete crumbles, steel reinforcements corrode. The government estimates full seawall replacement would cost $2.1 billion, more than half of Guyana's annual GDP. Maintenance alone consumes $15–20 million yearly, and they're still losing ground. During the 2005 floods, 290,000 people were displaced, and damages exceeded $465 million. The rainy season now routinely floods neighborhoods that stayed dry for generations. But the real threat isn't just rising water, it's saltwater intrusion. Guyana's economy depends on rice and sugar cultivation in coastal plains. As seawater penetrates aquifers and irrigation systems, agricultural land becomes sterile. The coastal zone produces 75% of Guyana's GDP and houses 90% of its population. Losing this land means losing the nation. Mangroves are halophytes, salt-tolerant trees that thrive where most plants die. 5 species dominate Guyana's coast: red mangrove, black mangrove, white mangrove, buttonwood, and the rare tea mangrove. Their root systems are architectural marvels. Red mangroves have prop roots that arch from the trunk into the mud, creating dense tangles. Black mangroves send pneumatophores, snorkel-like roots, vertically upward to breathe. This creates a 3-dimensional lattice that does something remarkable: it stops water. The physics are straightforward. When waves hit mangrove forests, the root systems and trunks create friction. Studies show mangroves reduce wave height by 66% over the first 100 meters of forest. Wave energy, the destructive force that erodes coastlines, drops by 97% through just 200 meters of healthy mangrove. A single meter of mangrove forest can reduce surge height by 5 to 10 centimeters. That's the difference between water lapping at your doorstep and water flooding your home. But mangroves don't just block water, they build land. The root systems trap sediment suspended in tidal waters. This sediment accumulates, raising the coastal elevation by 2–5 millimeters per year in healthy mangrove zones. While seas rise, mangroves literally grow the ground upward to meet them. It's a living, self-repairing system that becomes more effective over time. Guyana's coastal mangrove belt originally stretched 430 kilometers as an unbroken barrier. Then came rice cultivation. Starting in the 1940s, farmers cleared massive mangrove sections to create polders, reclaimed agricultural land behind seawalls. By 2000, Guyana had lost over 80% of its coastal mangroves since the 1980s, particularly near Georgetown, where development pressure was highest. The city's northern coast, which once had 5 to 8 kilometers of mangrove buffer, was reduced to scattered fragments or bare mudflats. The restoration program, launched in 2010 through collaboration between Guyana's National Agricultural Research and Extension Institute, the Sea Defence Board, and the Protected Areas Commission, with support from international organisations including the World Bank and the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The strategy focused on critical gaps, sections where mangrove loss correlated directly with increased flooding and erosion. The implementation was methodical. Teams collected propagules, mangrove seeds that begin germinating while still on the parent tree. These were cultivated in coastal nurseries until seedlings reached 30–40 centimeters, then transplanted during low spring tides when exposure time was longest. Survival rates in optimal conditions exceed 80%. By 2023, over 3 million seedlings had been planted along priority zones, restoring approximately 27 square kilometers of mangrove forest. The results are quantifiable. The 2015 baseline study of the Georgetown seawall showed 15 major breaches annually requiring emergency repairs. By 2020, after mangrove establishment, breaches in restored sections dropped to 4 annually. Neighborhoods behind restored mangroves experienced 45% fewer flood days during the rainy season compared to areas still relying solely on seawalls. Erosion rates fell from 3 to 5 meters per year to less than 1 meter. The cost comparison is staggering. Traditional seawall construction runs $5 to $10 million per kilometer, depending on specifications. Maintenance costs 3–5% of construction costs annually. Mangrove restoration costs $35,000 to $75,000 per kilometer, including nursery operations, planting, and 2 years of monitoring. After establishment, maintenance costs are nearly zero. The forest maintains itself. Over a 25-year lifespan, mangroves cost roughly 2% what seawalls cost for equivalent protection. Mangroves sequester carbon at rates that make rainforests look inefficient. While rainforests store 150 to 250 tons of carbon per hectare, mangroves store 500 to 1,000 tons per hectare, with most locked in deep anaerobic sediments where it remains for centuries. Georgetown isn't saved yet. Seas keep rising and decades of growth are still needed. But this small nation demonstrated something powerful, that working with nature delivers better protection at lower cost than fighting it. As hundreds of coastal cities face similar threats, Guyana's mangroves offer a blueprint for survival. The question is whether we'll act fast enough. If this content changed how you see climate adaptation, subscribe for more stories about solutions that actually work.